Right, so we had covered up to 132, but we'll just do a quick review. So in chapter 17, what was the topic? What did we talk? Chapter 17.
We are discussing on the Bhava Prabhu.
Okay, very good. And what was the key takeaway? What are some of the things which we remember?
One is definition, like what is Bhava Bhakti, like
Hmm.
after sadhana, like so through the mercy with
Hmm.
intense grade, they one devotee tell say like he's in Bhava platform, and we have five different uh, Bhava types of ratis,
Hmm.
and at least last class we were discussing some of the qualities uh, that are prominent or important
Hmm.
for the bhava bhakti, like tolerance and not wasting time and longing for the Lord. So these are some kind of qualities that we discussed yesterday, Prabhu.
Very good,
I'm
Prabhuji.
sorry,
Very good.
last.
Very good. Anybody would like to add?
Um, Most of my takeaway was mostly symptoms of this bhava and how, unlike Vedi Bhakti, which requires you to follow strictly shastric injunction, this bhava is based more so on greed and um, considered spontaneous or natural. Um, but also warning us that you can't imitate, no imitation. Um, that's mostly what most of
Yeah.
the takeaway that I
Okay.
get.
Okay. Okay. So see, so chapter 17 basically starts where does the bhava, the first understanding, where does the bhava fit, right? We talked about that how the goal of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti is using our senses to reach the platform of bhava. So bhava is the intersection between the prema, which is the pure love, and the sadhana. Once one is starting from any place, like from the very beginning or any place in between, right? To get to the bhava. So without coming to the bhava, nobody can get to the prema, right? So bhava is the platform where one has to come before they can get to prema. Then we talked about, so that was where does the bhava fits basically, right? Then the definition of bhava. What was the definition of bhava? What are some of the characteristics of the bhava?
Greed is
Th- that is for
characteristic.
that is for the raganuga. Uh-huh. So Suddha Sattva, right? So primary characteristic is Suddha Sattva. Suddha Sattva is the transcendental goodness, and that is not something which is produced. It is given to us, and this is the Lord's Shakti, Hladini Shakti and Samvit Shakti. These are two Shaktis, awareness and then the love potency together. That's what makes the Suddha Sattva. So that's the primary thing. What one get, and then the secondary is what happens. What was the secondary characteristic? Softening of the heart, and one get various tastes. Okay, so these are the other two things happens. That's where the emotion is start getting generated, and then the devotee doesn't want to leave the service what they are doing due to a different kind of a taste. So it's very intense taste. It's not the taste what sometimes we go and do the service, sometimes we don't. In this case, there's so much of desire, just think that a mother cannot live without the child, right? Just like that. It's even more than that, right? Mother child is still there. Is like child sometimes annoys the mother. So mother is sometimes they can leave for a couple of minutes, then she will go back. But in this case, they're so intense that one cannot live without Krishna. And that will be corroborated once we talk about the symptoms, right? So this we had talked about. And then what is the different nature of bhava, right? So tad atmaka, and that's where we talked about the iron rod fire analogy, right? So we have talked about this, how one get the bhava. So of course from the sadhana bhakti, and then we have the Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, we have the raganuga sadhana bhakti, both can lead to bhava typically, but in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, one comes to raganuga sadhana and then they come to the bhava. So that's the generally how the one gets bhava, but in rare but there is a mercy is required, right? So our endeavor that is by practicing the sadhana, but there is the component. This is like a 1%, but this is the most important, right? Mercy. Without the mercy of the Lord, one cannot get bhava, and that's where there can be a verbal blessing by the devotee, which is most of the case. Some pure devotee can give us the blessing, and through that Krishna will appear in our life, and then or the personal appearance of the Lord, very rare, but we have seen in history, very rare. And then the heartfelt, just Lord appears within our heart, right? So just out of his mercy, he can just appear in within our heart for no reason, right? So these are the three ways one can get the mercy. So mercy is really required for us to get the bhava, but our practice has to be very solid. We have to keep doing it in such a way that it attracts the mercy of Krishna. So we had talked about the example Narad Muni, how he came from the practicing the bhakti, and then we talked about the Raganuga Bhakti example was there. Um, Anything else missing? Okay. So this was the summary of chapter 17. Then chapter 18, which we started from verse 25 to 32. Okay, so 1 to 24 was chapter 18, and 25 to 61 is chapter chapter 17, 1 to 24, and 25 to 61 is chapter 18. And here the if you look, it started from 24, 25, 26. The anubhavas or characteristic of a person who has developed the bud of bhava are as follows: tolerance, not wasting time, detachment for enjoyment, pridelessness. So it is giving. So before that, he says bhava arising by devotee mercy is also listed in Skanda Purana. According to different types of devotee with there are 5 different types of Rati. This will be considered, the explain later. And then favor was granted Prahlada by Narada. We could not listen. Okay. So 25, 26, you see that it is telling that the person who has got the bhava, they will have these 9 reliable symptoms, right? 9 reliable symptoms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 different qualities. And why these why it is important to mention about these 9 qualities? Why it has been mentioned?
To ensure the practicing devotees may not misunderstand that they are in Bhava.
Very good. Yeah, so that the nobody can imitate, right? For example, a lot
Yes.
of people, when people think bhava was softening of the heart. Softening of the heart means sometimes I'll get tears. So the actor can also imitate and they can cry better than somebody because that's what they're acting, right? So one will think, oh, he's this actor is at bhava. While the genuine person who has the bhava, they will try to hide the symptoms. Now, does it mean that that person doesn't have a bhava? So that's the reason the external symptom cannot determine if one has bhava or not. And so to make sure that we understand who has bhava and we do not misjudge other people, or even sometimes our own, right? Sometimes when we cry, we think that, oh, I have become very exalted devotee, right? We think, though, a lot of symptoms are coming, but that can be just transient, right? That can be just transient. It can be circumstantial, but these 9 symptoms cannot be denied. So that's where it starts, right? So 25, 26 talks about these example, right? What these 9 symptoms, and then from 27, right? It says time, right? 27 tolerance. Okay, 27 is tolerance, right? It talks about the tolerance, and 28 is tolerance. Okay, 28 is also tolerance. 29 was about not wasting the time. Um, so see, tolerance, we have to think, and this the normal circumstances is still people can tolerate, but when the situation is really bad, are we able to tolerate? So that's the true test. That is my faith growing in Krishna when the difficult circumstances are given, or I am getting closer to Krishna. So doesn't matter what the situation. If one is always thinking that that's the Krishna blessing and they're going closer to Krishna, in fact, at the difficult circumstances, they become even more closer. That's the sign of tolerance, and that shows somebody is at a very high state. Now, that the next is about the time, right? How the devotee will always think that the time is Krishna energy, and every minute they are thinking how I can serve Krishna, how I can make Krishna happy 24/7, 24/7. Okay. And then the 30 was talking about the detachment. So this is like so there is a natural distaste. So one is detachment is we call vairagya, right? So vairagya, and there is the other word called virakti. So vairagya means I'm I'm detaching myself, but virakti means there's a natural distaste. And one of the example one can think of, let's say if there is a buffet table, right? There's a dinner, big buffet is being served. The person with the vairagya may look at it and say that I'm going to avoid it, while the person who is in the virakti, um, which is that complete natural distaste, which means natural distaste, will feel, first of all, after seeing the buffet, they will think, oh, they are already full, and they won't even make a glance. Like for them, the big buffet doesn't even exist. So they have natural distaste. They'll think, why? What is this food? Right? While the one who's in Virakti, they will see it and they think that they would like to have it, but they will say, no, 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 this is not good for me, right? So that is the difference between. So this is talking about the natural distaste, and that is the virakti. So this is the symptom of the um, uh, again from the bhava. Like for example, Maharaj Bharat, right? He had everything, but then he developed the distaste, as if his queen doesn't exist, his children doesn't exist, his palace doesn't exist, his money doesn't exist. He left everything. Okay, and 32 was the pridelessness, right? How pridelessness. So we will probably start from verse 32. Okay, so how the pridelessness is defined. So let's start. Uh, Mrinali Mataji, start from 32.
Sure, Prabhu. 32. Translation: Pridelessness is defined as follows. Pridelessness means, in spite of having a high position, remaining humble. Uh, so, can I go to the next?
Yes, Mataji, but okay, but it's good that you took a pause. See, in spite of, so see, one can say if there is a somebody rickshaw wala means the person who drives the bicycle vehicle. What is the
Tricycle.
tricycle? Thank you. Tricycle. You've seen tricycle in India. Tricycle is very famous. That's used, and typically the people who are riding it, driving it, are very poor, and they're just because they earn less money, and that's what they are trying to do, running the tricycle and getting the passenger. Now that person says that I don't have a pride, right? That's okay, but the main pridelessness is being talked about. In spite of having a high position, one remains humble. They think that I'm nothing. So let's say somebody like Bill Gates or any rich people you can take, right? They like Warren Buffett. I have a lot of regard for him, considering that he maintains his humble living. His car is still very old, right? So remains humble. So it's being even in spite of having that I could have bought anything, it's possible, but that person choose to remain to live with the minimalistic life. So that's called remaining humble in pridelessness. Yes, Mataji, continue.
Okay, Prabhu. So, 1.3.33. Translation: Pridelessness is illustrated in the Padma Purana. King Bhagirath, though the crest jewel among kings, went out begging at the house of his enemies.
Oh, Mataji got disconnected, I think. We'll just wait. So it suddenly seems Preeti Mataji joined and Mataji dropped, or
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Something happened. It happened simultaneously, right? I was not paying attention.
No
Uh,
problem.
what-
No problem.
No, I
you-
joined a minute ago. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Prabhu,
It
I
got
got
disconnected. I know.
disconnected.
Yes, yes. Please continue.
Sorry. Um, So King Bhagirath, though the crest jewel among kings, went out begging at the house of his enemies and offered respects to the dog eaters because he had Rati for the Lord.
Okay, so see, so here the example of King Bhagiratha is given that how he uh, went begging at the house of his enemies. And there's a story of a sadhu, which I have heard that he was a very rich sadhu in Vrindavan, and everybody said that okay, if you really want to get Krishna, you have to leave all your richness. And he did everything. He was begging and doing everything, but still he was not getting the rati. And then his teacher asked, Guru asked, have you gone and begged at so and so person? And that person used to be his competitor, right? So naturally he has begged at everyone's place, but he hadn't gone to his competitor house. And so that then that day he went to the competitor house and begged. It was very difficult, but as soon get the competitor himself came, oh wow, this rich person has come who used to be there, now he's begging. So he comes and he gives and they hug, and then after that, that person developed a lot of rati, right? So this is what it is illustrating, right? That in spite of having such a high position, how one has to come to that pridelessness. Okay. Okay,
So,
so yes, so Shiva Prabhuji, you can do 34.
Yes, Prabhu. Confidence is defined as follows. Confidence means firm assumption that one will attain the Lord.
Next.
Translation. An example of confidence is the following statement of Sanatana Goswami. I do not have prema or the practices of hearing or chanting in bhakti. I have no practice of meditation of Vishnu in the Ashtanga Yoga process, nor do I have practices of jnana or varnashrama duties. I do not even have good birth to execute these actions properly. But since you are the most merciful to the least qualified, O dear lover of the gopis, though I have impure desires, my aspiration for you continues to agitate me. Jiva Goswami commentary. Yoga indicates Ashtanga Yoga. When meditation on Vishnu is prominent in that yoga, it becomes Vaishnava Yoga. The meditation incorporating Vishnu or other deities in meditation is called Sagarbha in the yoga. Jnana refers to steadiness in the Brahman. Shubha karma refers to mainly to varnashrama activities. Good birth is the cause of attaining qualification for the previously mentioned items of yoga, gnana, and karma. These other processes are shown as cause of attaining the Lord only because of accompanying performance of bhakti, which is also mentioned in the list. Concerning yoga, Kapila shows in the third canto of Bhagavatam how yoga can be combined with bhakti. The position of gnana in relation to bhakti is shown in Gita in the verse Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. Subha karma should also be practiced with bhakti is illustrated by Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radokshaje. The culmination of religion is that varnashrama from which bhakti to the Lord arises. I have a thirst, asha, for attaining the Lord, not motivated by prema for the Lord, but by desire for my own happiness, since I have deeply rooted desires for personal enjoyment, which are difficult to remove. Achedya Mula. Then what should I do? I continue to hanker for you because I think that you can turn that material desire into prema, since you are extra merciful to those who are the most deficient. Hinarardhika sadhaki. Vetayate
Sorry.
i- is in the Atmanepada form instead of Parasmaipada because of rule Anav Akarmakach Chitvat Kartavat.
You can leave this
Generally,
paragraph, Prabhuji. It's just technical. Just leave that paragraph.
okay.
Come to Vaishnava Chakravarti.
Vishnual Chakravarti Thakur has commented. The yoga is Vaishnava yoga. The Gnanam is knowledge concerning the Lord. The Shubha Karma is services performed with the devotees. Thus, the meaning is I do not perform hearing and chanting with devotion. I do not concentrate my mind on the Lord. I have no knowledge of the Lord, nor do I perform any service for the Lord. I do not have birth suitable for serving the Lord. I have been born among the lowest people. By seeing or touching them, one must bathe for purification. My unflinching desire for you, who make yourself readily available to the least qualified, give me great disturbance. It should be understood that the desire expressed in this verse is a desire only for attaining the service at the level of prema, arising from pure bhakti, devoid of gnana, karma, or yoga. Because it is supposed to be an example of asha bandha, confidence expressed at the stage of bhava. Other explanations are not mentioned because they are impossible.
Okay, so what did here? We had some commentary here. So what did we understand about the confidence? What is confidence?
Confidence that we'll achieve the Lord's uh, Lord's mercy. Come what may, we'll never lose that faith.
Yes, so it is like hope against hope, right? It's like hope against hope. So uh, it is not that the person is not trying, right? And person is very capable at the very advanced stage, but they think that they are lower than the lowest, right? And they think that only by because Krishna is so kind, in spite of me having all these problems, and these are very advanced devotee, but they are thinking they have all these problems, right? So they are thinking that in spite of having all this problem, Krishna is going to come and take care of them, right? So that hope against hope, like, so one thinks that they are quite incompetent and Krishna is just going to come and take care of them. So that's the overall which is being described here. What else? What are the other things which were described in this particular verse, where for which we have the commentary?
So I think like Sanatana Goswami humbling himself, like saying, even though he is not practicing whatever we discussed, different, even though they are not part of bhakti, but they are started with yoga and varnashrama. which is not part of pure bhakti as per definition that we studied, but still like Sanatana Goswami expressing the confidence that he's always have the desire for achieving the Lord.
Yes.
Uh,
So naturally, see Sanatan Goswami, he was at the very high stage, right? Still, what he's telling that I do not have this. I have no practice of meditation on Krishna, right? And of course, um, nor do I have any practice of jnana or varnashrama duties. So he's telling that I do not have anything, even though he had everything, right? In terms of his attitude, his knowledge, his tolerance, right? He's totally at the prema level, but he's saying that I do not have. But since you are the most merciful to the least qualified, O dear lover of the gopis, though I have impure desire, my aspiration for you continues to agitate me. Right? So this is the sign that this is how a devotee feels. Right? So this is like thinking hope against hope. I'm not qualified, but Krishna will come and take care of me. Right? So this is what was further elaborated within the purport. Okay, so Bri Mataji.
Translation. Longing is now defined. Longing means having intense greed for attaining service to the Lord. Translation. An example of longing for the Lord is given in Krishna Karanamrita. I long to see that young Krishna who enchants the universe with his bent black eyebrows, with his thick eyelashes, with his attractive shifty eyes, with his soft words which melt the heart, with his sweet red lips, and with the intoxicating sound emanating from the clear notes of his flute. Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. My eyes long for the form of Krishna which enchants the universe. This expresses his desire to see the Lord. How does that Lord look? He has two dark eyebrows, slightly curved. What else? His eyelashes are beautiful with densely growing strong hairs. His sweet lips are intensely red. The clear sound emanating from his flute are intoxicating.
So what these two verses was about?
Um, the intense greed to see Krishna.
Yes, intense greed to achieve Krishna's love. So this is we had the intense greed for the um, getting into Raganuga Bhakti. Now at even advanced level, now that was the Raganuga. They want to follow in the footsteps of the Brajavasi. Now here there is an intense eagerness to directly associate with Krishna, right? Intense, and in this case, see the example is given in this translation from the Krishna Karnamrita, that how one is thinking about the Krishna, his eyes, his thing, and all his body parts, and thinking that I really want Krishna, right? Without him, I cannot exist. So that's the intense desire. So one who is at the level of bhava will be showing the intense eagerness to achieve Krishna. Okay, Jai Radha Mataji, 38.
Hare Krishna. 38. Translation. Taste for chanting the name of the Lord is illustrated. O Govinda, today the young girl with a sweet voice, whose lotus eyes are streaming with tears of honey, is singing your names.
So this is about the attachment to the name. So what we can conclude from this? What kind of symptoms one will be showing as far as the chanting is concerned?
Prabhuji, isn't it like the name is equivalent to the Lord?
Yes, so in this case, of
Tears?
course, so the that person who is chanting, they are feeling the name, right? So they are that person is experiencing the nam roop pastime and nam roop lila, right? So they are experiencing the name, his form, his pastime. So they are experiencing everything, and when it is happening, they cannot stop chanting. It's like if somebody has forced the chanting on them, they cannot stop. Right? They have developed so much of taste, and the tears are falling, and then all the different static symptoms will be showing up. So that's what will be happening with the chanting. Right now, our chanting is forced. Okay, um, 16 rounds hasn't completed. It's a force that we are trying to, because I have taken a vow in front of my spiritual master, so I have to do it, right? But the taste is not there. But at the taste at the stage of bhava, this is what will happening, right? Okay, Matai 39.
39. Translation. Attachment to discussing about the Lord's qualities is described in the Krishna card Mrita. That useful Krishna with the qualities of Cupid, who is extremely sweet and extremely fickle, has stolen my heart. What should I do? Jiva Goswami's commentary. Madhura yad api madhuram, sweeter than sweet, means the form is extremely sweet. Manmata tatasya, the father of Cupid, means that the form invokes feelings of conjugal love, or it can mean that Krishna's youthful form has the qualities of Cupid by dividing the word differently, mannatratasya.
Okay, so how to elaborate this verse? What do we understand? What quality is talking about?
So it is told in the qualities of Krishna, like being sweet and also being fickle. So both extremes he makes it
Yeah, so
relatable.
yeah, basically it's talking about that the devotee will be showing deep attachment to keep discussing about the quality of the Lord. They meet anybody, well, let's, Krishna is like this, Krishna is like that, right? So they will be always be discussing about the Krishna Katha. Whoever they meet, they have so much of a taste for discussing the qualities of Krishna. Okay, so that's what it is talking about. Preeti
Trans-
Mataji.
In translation, an example of attachment for the abode of the Lord is found in the Padyavali. Nanda's house was here. There is where Krishna broke the cart. Here is where Damodara, who cuts material bondage, was bound up by the ropes. When will I be fortunate enough to wander about in Mathura with tears in my eyes, drinking such streams of nectar flowing from the mouth of an elder of Mathura? Padyavali 121. Jeev Goswami's commentary. Mathura here means the whole Mathura Mandala, thus including Vraja, which is described in the verse. Sometimes the word Vrajabhuvam is found replacing the word Madhupurim.
Okay, so what this quality is talking about of the person having the bhava?
They are able to like relate to, for example, in Vrindavan, each place is they're, I believe they're saying the pastimes and remembering the Lord with each place, or like Nanda's house and meet the the Damodar Leela Prabhu, and yeah.
Yeah, so see the previous section, the last two verses which Jaya Radha Mataji was reading was the attachment to the quality, discussing the quality of the Lord. And this is about attachment to the abode of the Lord. So once they are at the abode of the Lord, people are saying, "Oh, look, come, see what it is there. This is Nanda Maharaj house. This is where, oh, you see, this is where Krishna's cart broke. Oh, come. This is where, Krishna did this Leela." So people will be so attached that when they see the Lord's pastime place, they will go crazy. They'll be running around here and there, and just as if they are in the part of the Leela, right? So that's the kind of excitement, the childlike excitement and the attachment they will have. Like this is my playground because this is where Krishna played, so this is where I want to play. So that's the kind of attachment one will have for the Lord's place. And that's the example which is being given about Damodar Leela and breaking the cart and etc. Okay, 41 Mataji.
Translation. However, it should be said, if the softness of the heart, the symptom of rati, becomes clearly visible in persons desiring liberation or in other unqualified persons, it is not real rati. Jeev Goswami's commentary. It has been stated that the quality of real rati is having the desire only to please the Lord. If other desires are present, it should not be considered rati. In spite of the presence of other symptoms such as sattvika bhavas, that is explained in this verse. The phrase apicha, moreover, should mean apitu. However, if rati characterized by internal softness, melting of the heart, or what appears to be so, becomes visible in persons, such as those desiring liberation, it should not be considered real rati, because persons desiring liberation have other desires. One should not think that if a person has strong desires for things other than Krishna, it can be called rati for that particular object. For instance, rati for liberation.
So what do we understand from this verse?
So, the person shouldn't have any other desires other than serving the Lord. Then only it can be considered as rati. Even if they have the liberation desired, moksha, that is also a desire. So that also is not considered as rati.
Yes. So first Rupa Goswami describes all the 9 symptoms, and then he put the exception handling. Means even he say that like so positive. Hey, these are the things one would see in the bhava, and you know sometimes due to softness of heart, if somebody is showing the emotion like a sattvika bhava, like there is a transient emotions are happening. If those are happening, but that person is not always thinking about Krishna, he has some other desire also other than Krishna, then even though that person is having a sattvika bhava, it should not be considered that that person is at the bhava stage. Okay, so there should not be, the principle is or remains always intact, that one has to be observed that how this person performs throughout the 24 hours of his day, his or her day. Okay, so that's what it is being elaborated here, that these things should not be there. Okay, Mrinalini Mataji, 42 43.
Okay. Prabhu. Somehow the screen is freezed, Prabhu.
Is it
Um,
frozen for everybody?
no, I could see now.
No, you can see now.
Translation.
Okay.
Translation. How can Rati appear in persons having desires for enjoyment or liberation? Those persons do not perform pure bhakti. Rati is sought out by those liberated from all desires and is not given immediately by Krishna, even to the devotees, since it is most secret. Jiva Goswami's commentary. Here, the author elaborates on the reason why it is not real Rati. How is it possible for Rati to appear where there are desires for material enjoyment or liberation? There is a fault in their sadhana. They do not perform pure bhakti. Pure bhakti means that it should not be mixed with gnana, karma, or other unacceptable elements.
Okay. So this is what is the connection for the previous verse? What's happening here?
It is like,
Giving just to Krishna. Yeah,
please go
Mataji,
ahead.
please.
Prabhu. Please go ahead, Prabhu. Yeah.
No. Please tell me.
No. Like what I understood, it is like even having the desire to get liberated is also a desire. That means that is not pure bhakti. So it's a mixed bhakti.
Actually, so this question answers why, like even let's say a devotee, as a devotee practitioner, we are doing so many seva, and then we are spending many hours doing the DT worship, setting the events, and studying and chanting. So a lot of sincere devotees, they are spending uh, 4 to 6 hours of their time. Let's say that these are really sincere devotees who are spending 4 to 6 hours of their daily time in their sadhana, and still they are thinking, if they are thinking that why I am not having rati, and the reason has been described. What is the reason? That one has some desire left, desire for enjoyment or even desire for liberation. It's a desire. So that is a very good litmus test for us. If sometimes we are trying hard, very hard, and we are not seeing any rati, we should check ourselves if I have any desire, trace of any desire left. Right? So that will help. Okay, 44, 45, Mataji. This one.
Though, yeah, though this semblance of Rati is very sounding to the innocent, those in knowledge understand what is really is by seeing the characteristics. This is called Rati Abhasa, a semblance of Rati. This semblance of Rati has two types: reflection, Pratibimba, and splendor, Chaya.
Okay, so what do we understand here? What's happening here? The topic has changed, but what's happening here? So see, now the topic is changing. So first, Rupa Goswami discusses the nine. Then he says that why in some, how we can fool ourselves or how somebody else can fool us. So how to avoid that. So that is being talked about, right? About the just don't go on the emotion, look into those nine characteristics. So those things has been talked about. Then he also talked about the desire. If the rati is not coming, I'm trying everything, the rati is not coming. Now before the rati comes, there is a stage, right? And that is what is being talked here. This is called Rati Abhyasa. It's a Rati Bhas, right? It's like a Rati Bhas means it's a shadow. So before once get to the Rati, there is a shadow of Rati, which seems like Rati, but is not actual Rati. But it is a progression. And there are two types. One is the reflection, Pratibimba, and the other is the splendor, the Chaya. So this will be further described in the next verses. Okay, so now the topic, you got the connection of the topic, that this is called the Rati Bhas, right? That the shadow, before one get to the Rati, what will happen? And how to recognize that, where we are, and so that we continue. Okay, so Shiva Prabhu, 46.
Pratibimba or reflection is described as follows. When there are apparent qualities of Rati accompanied by desires for enjoyment and liberation, it is called Pratibimba, reflection, Rati Abhasa. This Pratibimba Rati Abhasa awards the goals of enjoyment and liberation to those persons without their having to exert effort. Jiva Goswami's commentary. Rati without motivations for material enjoyment or liberation yields the main form of Rati, whereas having attachments produces a semblance of Rati. This semblance arises through secondary conditions. According to the conditions, there are two types of semblance. The first type is described here. The qualities of Rati appear Rati Lakshana Lakshitaha in the form of few tears or other symptoms. So this seems to indicate a touch of Rati when symptoms appear along with desires for enjoyment or liberation. It is called Pratibimba. The type of Rati for the Lord, which is contaminated by desires for enjoyment or liberation, is called Pratibimba Rati Abhasa. This Pratibimba awards liberation without extreme efforts because of two qualities existing in the Lord: His power to bestow material enjoyment and His power to bestow liberation. This is the extraordinary power of Pratibimba Rati Abhasa. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Rati Lakshana Lakshitaha means person has the symptoms of Rati. From the presence of one or two symptoms, such as tears, the condition has the appearance of Bhava. but it is actually Rati Abhasa, a resemblance to Rati. If this Rati Abhasa has desires for the happiness of material enjoyment or liberation, then it is called Pratibimba Rati Abhasa. This condition easily bestows the desired goals of liberation without having to control the senses and mind, and without other practices necessary to achieve liberation. Awarding those goals of enjoyment and liberation without sadhaka's exertion shows the powers of Pratibimba Rati Abhasa.
Okay, so what do we understand here?
If there are symptoms of Rati, but then any form of desire for liberation, it's not considered pure.
Yes, this is talking about the person who has become very advanced, right? And these are the last kind of a test which Krishna will be bringing through his potency. So the devotee is really advanced, right? But now how to see there are traces, and this is where like that person will be showing all kind of other symptoms due to the softness of the heart, like the eyes are getting wet and the trembling might be happening, but they will also be feeling that I want to maybe have some enjoyment. What if I can get liberated? Wow, this is bringing me closer to liberation. Those kind of thoughts might be coming, okay, to some devotees who are at very advanced stage. And if those thoughts are coming for the enjoyment and liberation, we should understand this devote means me as a devotee is experiencing pratibimba, right? It is not the real bhava, but it is the reflection of the bhava. And if you see from the reflection, in the reflection, what happens? If one we see in the mirror, what is the image looks like?
Opposite from.
Yeah, it's an inverted image, like the opposite image. Yeah, 180-degree, right? So it looks. So now that's the reason why it is called pratibimba. That it should show the real thing, but it is a reflection. And reflection is because I am thinking I want Krishna, but then still I have some trace of enjoyment and some trace of liberation. So this is this information will help us if by the mercy of Lord we are able to make advancements, and as we are walking towards that path, these these instances will come, and this knowledge will help one to understand what's happening so that they keep their path straight and do not get confused. Okay, so that was the Rati Lakshanam. All right, Bri Mataji.
Translation. This reflection of the moon of Pava appears in the heart of some persons who are attached to enjoyment or liberation, but who become somewhat satisfied by following the angas of bhakti through occasional association with real devotees. That moon of Pava is situated in the sky of the real devotee's heart, and it appears as a reflection in the non-devotee for some time by its impressions. Jiva Goswami's commentary. The process by which pratibimba appears is described in this verse. Those who are attached to enjoyment and liberation through occasional rather than constant association with devotees, devat, imitate devotional activities such as chanting, but with their own goals in mind, and they achieve a general tranquility of mind. But their hearts are still contaminated with those desires. Since they have not realized the fault of such desires, the devotee's heart is like the sky, which is untouched by other objects and is thus sustainable for the rising of the moon of Prema. The reflection of that moon situated in the devotee's heart, not the moon itself, appears within the heart of such contaminated persons. A reflection appears because of the impositions, upati, caused by other desires. Thus, that reflection is not exactly the same as the original, since it takes support from only a few qualities of the original Rati, and his blurred image possesses contamination of other desires. A desire from pure Bhava, on the other hand, produces a complete and pure reflection, because the aspirant takes support of the host of wonderful qualities of Bhava and makes effort for the correct goal. When that person with other desires becomes separated from the devotee, will that reflection disappear? No, by the impression it leaves in its heart, the reflection of Bhava remains there for some time.
Okay, so what do we understand? This is the continuation of the reflection. What do we understand here?
Without continuous association from pure devotees, then you won't know the faults of chanting and also having your own goals in mind. And so it'll cause not the real Rati to appear in the heart, but just a reflection.
Yeah, so it is in a way it is telling that if it is taking the analogy of the moon, right? How the sky is the heart of the devotee and the moon appears, but there's a reflection of the moon. So it is re-emphasizing the point that that is the sign of the Ratibhas. But in this case, is telling that by association of the devotee, right, with the real pure-hearted devotee, this can be destroyed, right? If this is happening in devotee's life, they are experiencing that, oh, this is the I have these traces. How to solve it? They should associate with the pure devotees, and then it can be destroyed. And before, in the last point also, we did not talk about, didn't re-emphasize, it was we read it, that Krishna very easily will grant those desires and the liberation to the practicing devotee, and that shows his power. He can even though they are not making any extra effort, because liberation required a lot of effort, right? One has to practice the Astanga Yoga, Gyan Yoga, and be secluded and all those stuff. They're not doing anything. But because they've become so advanced, but still they have some small trace of desire, those desires are getting fulfilled, even the desire of liberation. So that shows Krishna's power. But that is not the devotee's goal, right? The person who is aspiring for the pure devotional service. In this case, then how to take care of that? This is by uh, association with the real devotee. Okay, Jai Radha Mataji.
Translation. The splendorous type of semblance of Baba is now described, that which some have similarly to real Rati, which possesses a small amount of interest in the Lord, which is unstable, and which destroys suffering, is called Chaya Rati Abhyasa.
Okay,
Jiva
so yeah, go ahead, read the commentary.
Goswami's commentary. Here the word Chaya means beauty of splendor. The Amrasha Kosha Nadrata gives symptoms, means the wife of the sun. Splendor, reflection, and shade. Here it also means a reflection of the resemblance to beauty. This verse describes the Chaya Rati Abhyasa, taking into account of the meaning of Chaya as resemblance to beauty in combination with the word Abhyasa. Little interest means that though the Lord is bhakti and spiritual, the person has interest in them only as material objects, because there is curiosity relating to the Lord. Even though material, there is an appearance of a little splendor, Kanti. That is the meaning of Chaya here. Because of the slight attraction to the Lord, there will always be slight symptoms similar to those of real Rati. However, because of its nature as chaya, it is also unsteady, unlike the pratibimba rati abhasha. In pratibimba rati abhasha, the attraction to material enjoyment and liberation is very strong, but in chaya rati abhyasha, the material curiosity also or about the Lord is transient, still because of the influence of the Lord in chaya ratya abhyasha. There is gradually a destruction of the suffering of material existence. One should not say this type does not fit within the general category of Rati Abhasha because it lacks desire for enjoyment and liberation. It is classed as Rati Abhasha because material curiosity is a form of enjoyment as well as a contamination. As well, it does not overlap with the Prati Bimba Rati Abhyasha, though both types have desire for enjoyment because chaya is connected with only a curiosity about the Lord, whereas pratibimba has a strong commitment to material enjoyment or liberation.
Okay. So what do we understand from this verse? So we talked about that before one gets to bhava, there will be detours, right? And those detours, like these two types. One is the pratibimba, which is the reflection. Other is the splendor, which is the chaya. Chaya is the word, right? It's called chaya rati abhasha, right? So chaya means it's the shadow of the rati. What is There's a very slight difference. So there will be, so before once one is going on the road towards the bhava, there will be a detour sign, and I think that looks very nice, right? More greenery might be looking there, and one may take that detour. And then once they take the detour, there might be one more diversion. One may see, oh, this is much greener, more color. Let's go there. And but that's the path of pratibimba, where there's a strong desire. Somewhat, it's a comparative, right? Not a strong desire, like otherwise they wouldn't have reached that space. But there is somewhat desire to for my self enjoyment and for liberation. That was the pratibimba, what we already talked about. This is talking about the path which initially seemed green, right? And this is chaya. So here there is the genuine love for Krishna, but there is a slight curiosity. You know, what if I can enjoy a little bit with my wife also? What I can enjoy, uh, uh, I might enjoy some bite in the house. I can invite somebody. It's a big house. I can invite somebody. So those thoughts might be coming, and it's transient. It comes and goes away. In that case, because it's transient, it's not persistent, which is the case in the case of the pratibimba, where it's persistent desire, right? So in the case of the chaya, it is more real and is not actual rati, but it is the shadow of the rati. So there will be some intense experiences which might be happening here, right? So but it is just telling that how this is unstable state. This chaya is an unstable state of the rati. So one is has the rati, but in between there is a slight desire which is comes and goes. So that's the fluctuating. So these are the natural step as one is walking towards the bhava. These things will be coming in devotees' life. Okay, Preeti Mataji.
So
Prabhu, one
Prabhu,
question. Like,
Okay,
sorry.
sorry,
go ahead.
sorry.
Please go ahead, Mataji. Interesting, something.
So Prabhu, is Chaya or Pratibimba is more nearer that they are reaching to the
You,
stage of Bhava?
you tell me, Mataji, what do you understand?
I feel it is Pratibimba. They have that that they are. It gives Chaya is just a shadow. It's an inversion, but I felt Pratibimba is almost they are reaching, but there are fluctuations.
No, no. So in the pratibimba,
Mm.
so understand two ways. Pratibimba
Mm.
is is the inverted, like is the
Oh,
opposite
okay,
of
okay.
what you are, right? So it's opposite. So it's going to the negative side. While in the case of the chaya, right, I am
Mm,
seeing the real thing, but it's like a little shadow is there, right? So that's one way to understand. In that way, considering chaya is advanced. Then you understand from the other angle what it is telling. In the case of the pratibimba, there is constant desire for enjoyment, even slight, but there is a constant desire for enjoyment of liberation. While in the case of the chaya, it's transient, it comes and goes. It's not always constant. So I do have desire, but it comes, oh, I want to enjoy with my wife. Then I'll think, oh, what I am thinking? Why?
mm,
There's no need. I'm practicing Krishna. I'm having such a wonderful time practicing Krishna conscious, and then I'm so so I the thought comes, but I try to get rid of it, right? But in the case of the pratibimba, that desire is there. I would like to enjoy some more time with my wife. I would like to have some houses. I will use this house for the devotees, welcoming the devotees, and we'll organize different kind of programs. But I should have these kind of amenity. So this is the how the mind will keep fooling us, right? So that will be pratibimba. While, and mind it means it is pratibimba. Don't compare the pratibimba with the earlier stage, which is the anarth nivritti. This person has moved forward a lot, right? There is a genuine ruchi and asakti, all those things happened, but there is this slight desires are there, and that is what's being compared here. Okay, so to answer your question, chaya is more advanced than the pratibimba.
got it, Prabha.
So
Yes,
actually,
you are Prabhuji.
I was also about to ask that question, Prabhu. But the thing is, like in the commentary, we saw that even that is told it is just a curiosity towards the Lord that is also
Yes,
transient. So that
yes.
makes a little confusing. Yeah,
Okay.
maybe now
Yes.
it is
So
clear. Thank you.
yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Okay. Preeti Mataji, 5051.
Yes, Prabhu. I also wanted to ask one question. So, having these experiences, as per the previous verse, it looks like if the person has the association of the devotee, these things will go away. If I understand
Yes,
correctly.
yes, yes, this can be destroyed. Yeah, that is the way. Like, so if these things are happening, so association of the devotees continue, right?
Mhm.
Throughout the journey, and even at the level of once get the prema, one is the devotee because they want to practice it together, because Krishna consciousness is all about relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Translation. This Chayarati Abhasa appears sometimes even in ignorant people by a combination of performing actions dear to the Lord, observing the festivals of the Lord, residing in the Dhamma of the Lord, and associating with the devotees of the Lord. Even this Chayarati Abhasa, which eventually bestows auspiciousness to those people, appears only with great good fortune. Jeev Goswami's commentary. There should be simultaneous participation in items listed, performing actions dear to the Lord, observing festivals of the Lord, residing in the Dhamma of the Lord, and associating with the devotees of the Lord in order for Chayarati Abhasa to manifest in ignorant people. Vishwanath Chakrathi Thakura's commentary. Because of association with devotees, festivals, and other items, this rati is sometimes seen even in ignorant persons who have no good qualities, such as tolerance, and have no desire to extinguish samsara.
Okay. So what do we understand from these verses? Two verse 5051.
So previously we were talking about advanced devotees symptoms, but now um, uh, the author is also saying like even the ignorant can have the experience of these by doing special things for the Lord, which are very dear to him, like performing festivals, associating with devotees, and residing in Dhamma.
So yes, so this is telling that in some cases, and so Mata, you are right, just adding a little bit more. So
Sure.
it's saying in some cases who are considered to be great, they have a great good fortune. So it doesn't happen to everybody, but to some rare soul, and this should be called their good luck, right? While They are just good-hearted people. They may not have the genuine desire to have Krishna, but they are good-hearted people. They are coming, participating in the festival. They are making the donation, the charity. They might be big donor. They are visiting places, Mathura, Vrindavan, and they are going and making the donation. And because Lord is so merciful that because they are doing those actions, Krishna may fulfill their desire and give them auspiciousness, right? And they sometimes they may have this uh, special experiences where they might have these sattvic vikara, right? Tears coming and special experiences happening, but then that should not be considered to be a bhava. It is just transient and it happens. So the condition is like, so the so that's the reason understanding bhava is not something which a person who is not at bhava cannot understand that they are at bhava. Only the person who is at bhava or at higher stage at the prema, they can they can understand that if the person is bhava or at the bhava or not. So we should not try to judge other people. Oh, this exalted devotee. Oh, this person is bhava. Oh, this person. Oh man, this is the lower person. That is not our job. Our job is to look inside us and see using these symptoms to see where I am and try to make the improvement. Otherwise, we will fool ourselves and we will do the aparadh. Okay. So at this point in time, we will stop. Um, we will meet on Monday, um, 6 to
Prabhu,
7. Yes, Mataji.
I have question here. So when we
Please.
say the great fortune, of course, it might be due to the association of devotee, but
It can be.
can we even have a like even think it as a agyat sukriti or no in this
It is.
case?
Yeah, yeah. A gas Sukriti is definitely there. Gas
Okay.
Sukriti is definitely there. So the blessings are happening, right? So let's say I'm a big donor. I'm a rich person. I'm a big donor. I keep
Mm-hmm.
making donation. I make good donation. So the devotees are wishing me, oh, this person, and they pray, oh, you become very good bhakta, right? Even though
Mm-hmm.
I just want to grow, I want to become even much bigger in terms of getting more money. So
Mm-hmm.
I am getting the all the agas sukriti. I am getting the gas sukriti, and one day, good day, I might have these kind of experiences. And we know even people in our congregation, if you just think closely, will find those people. Um, and you'll see those symptoms sometimes in them, but they're not
Mm-hmm.
the real serious practitioners. You will observe that.
So, Prabhu, even in this case, like they get the great fortune, and if they come into the complete bhakti, like they start following the Krishna consciousness, then ultimately they could, I mean, they
Yes,
could possibly
yes,
achieve Bhava.
absolutely. So what can practically happen? That let's say this big donor, right? Um,
Mhm.
uh, and this is very practical, and why I'm taking the example because I have some people in my mind. I'm analyzing that case while I'm reading this, right? And
Mhm.
you'll see this a big donor, even with Prabhupada, right? They became
Mhm.
exalted devotee. For example, you see um, the grandson of the Ford industry, right?
Mhm.
Then Mafatlal ji, right? They were initially
Mhm.
they were all well wishers and they are doing it, but then because they serve Prabhupada so much, they all become wonderful exalted devotees. So yes, the mercy of the devotee can be there, and from this um, Chaya Rati, they
Mhm.
or Pratibimba Rati, they can start getting the real Rati. Okay, so with
Okay.
the devotee and their sincere, they will become more sincere first, then they will start practicing, and because they have got so much of blessing, as they are start practicing, they will be going faster and faster and faster. So you can see that in this case. So even having these material opulences is not bad. These material opulences one has got because they have done something great, something good in the past, even in the
Mhm.
past life or in this life. And Krishna has really awarded them auspiciousness. And due to that money, they are not just wasting it there. Even though they don't have the true rati, they didn't thought about the Krishna consciousness, but indirectly they were serving Krishna, right? And they're getting the blessing of the Krishna. So eventually they will come to Krishna. And this we had heard in the that if somebody in the due to our karma, if let's say one devotee was very close to bhakti, they will take birth in the Vaishnava family. But if somebody was little far from bhakti, but they were seriously practitioner, they will be born into the rich person's family. Okay, so they were
Yes.
doing bhakti in the past. So that's how you can align everything. That why these people who were not serious, but because they were doing this, because it is the past life they've been carrying, and suddenly due to the mercy of all the devotee and by the Krishna's arrangement, they will develop the Rati in due course of time.
Sure. Yes, Prabhu, thank you. Actually, I was reading today and you said the similar thing. So, I think it was Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. So, it was mentioned like, the person will, even if they could be born in like a royal family or rich families in the future, next births. Yeah. Okay. That's all,
All
Prabhu.
right. So Hare Krishna. So we'll start from verse 52 in the next class, and we'll finish it next. So after that, we have one more chapter. So maybe I think maybe hopefully in the next three classes, we should be able to finish Nectar of Devotion. We'll see Krishna, what the Krishna's plan is. All right.
Hare Krishna.
Hari bol, Hari
Hare
bol.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji. Hare
Krishna, Hari
Krishna.
bol, Hari bol. Yeah.
Hare